Your body is a historian. It records every heartbreak, every suppressed no, and every moment of shame you've ever experienced. It is stored in the body with each organ holding a specific emotional frequency. Liver is anger, lungs is grief, kidney is fear. Tonight on Thursday Night Live, we're going to explore how we experience disease, um, how, and actually it's how our bodies is trying to get our attention. So stick around and find out just how and what of our past may be festering beneath the surface. Hello and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into the show today. And while you're here, if you're enjoying what you're seeing and enjoying what you're hearing, I hope you will subscribe to this channel and keep following along with every show that I produce. So I wanted to talk today about the nature of disease, and not from a medical point of view per se, but from more of a subtle energy, what I pick up as a medical intuitive point of view. But I need to create some kind of background here. So in my book, there are three kinds of illnesses that we can have. We can have an accident, we break our arm, we fall down and we hurt our back. So that falls into that illness category. Now, there are those that suggest that when something happens to us, when we're walking down the street and we trip on the sidewalk and bang up our knee, that there's this karmic angle to the whole thing. There might be. I really don't investigate that because there's not. I really focus on like this is this lifetime, and so if there's things from a past life that are affecting you, usually there's enough we have to clean up here to not bring that kind of stuff into the story. The second kind of illness that we can have would be something that is viral or bacterial. We get some kind of an infection, we catch a bug, we're around some kind of germ, or maybe even a parasite. And so that is a category of disease. And it's interesting because it is only that category of disease that modern medicine can actually fix. They can give you an antibiotic, they can give you an antiparasitic, and they can cure. They can cure those. They can't cure anything else, but they can cure those. And then the third classification, these aren't my classifications, these are theirs, is chronic disease. So when we're talking about things like cancer or diabetes or blood pressure, they are something that occur in the body, but they take a while to develop. I mean, when you fall and you hurt your leg, you fall and hurt your leg. If you have some kind of a bug, a viral or bacterial infection, it's like it comes up in 2 or 3 days and then it'll go away, but it's very acute in that period of time. But when you're talking about a chronic disease, we're talking about something that takes time to develop, and in the same breath takes time to get rid of it, if you ever get rid of it. But to get rid of it, usually there's things that you have to do to put it on the mend. And I'm going to also make I have two other caveats. One is the concept of a genetic disorder. And so there are some people that think that having a genetic disorder like sickle cell anemia or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, is that a disease? I don't know. That might be a cancer. I might be messing that up. But anyway, a genetic disorder where you are born that way, That's not a disease. It means that there's something broken in your chromosomes and broken in your DNA, that it was there from the moment you were born. It was there while you were in utero. And, they can treat it, but they can't make it go away, at least not at this point in time. So I just am making that clarification. So if you're thinking that, that is not considered a disease, that's considered a genetic disorder. But I do add to my categories, even though this is not on the medical establishment list, and that is the concept of neglect. And I feel like, and I'm just going on a little bit of a tangent here, I feel like people really neglect themselves. They neglect their health, and then they wonder why they get sick. Okay, so there's the psychospiritual aspect of why we get sick, which is what I'm going to get into. But then there's the neglect part. So if you're eating McDonald's every day and then you go to Pizza Hut and get some fried chicken, and you don't exercise, and you just don't take care of your body, it is going to break down. And so while they don't talk about it as a disease, but it underlies a lot of diseases, or can greatly, if you make lifestyle changes, can greatly improve the outcome of something that might be manifesting in your body. Okay. So as I just said, chronic disease manifests slowly in the body, and it takes time. And so from my perspective, one of the reasons that we have and experience chronic disease is that we experience some kind of trauma, and I'm using that in a very open and generic way, that slows down our subtle energy. And we've talked about chi and life force energy on this show before. And in health, our energy is supposed to flow into us and flow out of us without being inhibited. And so if, for example, you were told that you were stupid, or you were made to feel stupid when you were a child, and then you found reasons to see yourself as being stupid, over and over and over and over in your life, it's like that I'm stupid button gets pushed over and over and over again. And each time it's pushed, it slows down the movement of that subtle energy through the body, through the subtle bodies. So that would include the causal body, the mental body, the emotional body, the etheric body, until it finally ends up manifesting in the physical body. And so it might be that somebody says that you're stupid. Like when you're 3 years old, someone says that you're stupid, and now you're like fixated on this. Oh my God, I'm really stupid. And then every time something happens, the first thought that comes into your mind is, oh, well, I did this because I'm stupid. But then after a while, it grows. So that thought starts to grow, and it starts penetrating and moving down into the emotional body, where if something happens and an emotion now is triggering that thought, and so it is again slowing down the movement of that energy through the subtle bodies until it starts to again show up in the physical body. And so the reality is, to me, that disease is our body's way of telling us that there's something deeper going on further up the energy system. And so, when you sit there and you look about something that you could do, if you go to the doctor, they'll say, oh, well, you should just take a pill, or that you should cut it out. There are those that say, well, you should take a supplement, which will help, but it doesn't get rid of the deeper level of issues that are inside the body. And so even if you take the supplements, one, it might back it out of the physical body, but it's still sitting in your energetic body and you're still reacting, you're still triggered, and that thought is still coming up in your life and in your space. And what I have seen in my work is if the person, so let's say they have gallbladder disease. So gallbladder disease is the emotional energy, the kind of Louise Hay generic emotional energy around that is about planning and your ability to plan. And so there are some people that are great planners, but that get very frustrated when they cannot fulfill their plans. And then there are some people that can't plan to save their lives. And so they end up getting gallstones. Let's just say they get gallstones, and I'm grabbing a lozenge here, guys. And they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, oh, we're going to cut it out. Not saying, oh, you could do a gallbladder cleanse and maybe get rid of those gallstones and then you'd be better. But, they're going to cut it out. But it doesn't fix the issue around planning. And it doesn't fix the issue that's the energetic issue that's going on in the body. And so what I've seen is that issue doesn't go away, but that energy, that trapped energy starts looking for expression somewhere, and it'll actually move into a different organ in the body. And so, it's definitely something to consider, especially if you're looking for surgery, is what all is going on, because it doesn't go away. And it's really interesting because I'll work with people and I'll be talking about some organ, like the gallbladder. I mean, that's a pretty common one people have removed. And I'll be like making all this commentary about what's going on in their lives and this and that. And then they'll say, well, I don't have a gallbladder. And I'm like, but the energy, that dynamic, that thought and emotion is still there. And so another little tangent here, there are some people that say, or try to minimize what's going on with themselves. And they say, well, I have a genetic predisposition, like diabetes runs in the family. And I would like to say, perhaps, just perhaps, there's a behavior or an emotional pattern that the entire family does. And that behavior or viewpoint or belief has been passed down from generation to generation. And is it possible that this is more of a subtle energy issue going on versus something wrong with their DNA? Think about that. So from a medical intuitive perspective, the trapped emotional energy and the limiting beliefs are easy to spot. It's just sitting there in the organ, and I just palpate on. It's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, when you were 7 or 8, you something happened and it left you in this emotional state. Now, I know I'm doing really good when they start crying. Not that I mean to make them cry, but you're hidden. But it's sitting in the organ, and but these issues that we're experiencing, or if we develop chronic disease, many times I'll say, oh, well, I just get the feeling that, you've been invalidated, and they'll look for like the week before, the month before. They don't really go far back in time, but it's never last week or last year. Usually this energy is very, very old, from our formative years. And it's not that we're manifesting the physical disease, but the core of the issue, the core of the belief, the core of the traumatic emotion gets put in place. That energy gets locked in place, and it festers year after year after year. I would say for the most part, and I'm just using this as a generality, that by the time we're 14, if there is going to be a chronic disease manifesting, the seeds have been sown prior to the age of 14. Now, I have seen in some older individuals with issues like betrayal or infidelity or, like physical and emotional abuse in a relationship also coming into that energetic pattern. But that is a less frequent thing, but it's there. So, I mean, it can occur at any point in time. But, usually the seeds are sown when we're young. So you might be wondering, okay, so what can I do? So I'm starting to manifest gallbladder disease, or I'm starting to, have some kind of symptoms, what should I do? And obviously, making lifestyle changes, I'm all about that. But I think first it's getting a general idea of what organ is being affected. So a couple of weeks ago, I spoke about the acupuncture meridians and the organs that they affect and the mental and emotional ties to that. And so either you can look at the old episode or you can go on my website, soulhealer.com, and then under the articles, or just go in the little search thing and type in meridians, and it'll bring up this article and it'll break it down meridian by meridian by meridian, which is tied to each of the organs, so that you can kind of get a general idea of what kind of thoughts and beliefs or behaviors are going on that might be attached to a disease. But another thing that you can do is if you're having stomach issues, or if you're having gallbladder issues, or if you're having, I don't know, chest pain, or heart pain, and you're having anxiety attacks or whatever, put your hand on that organ. If it's like anxiety or angina, put your hand on your heart and ask it, what are you trying to tell me? What do you need? What do I need to know? And then the other question is, are you willing to hear what it has to say? And usually you have to be in a very calm and quiet internal place for that to come up. And be willing to hear what it has to say. And most times we already know the answer. We just don't like it. We don't like the answer that it gives us and choose not to follow the guidance that we receive. Now, if you've been practicing listening, which we talk about on this show all the time, and it's part of your daily life, you can also use that tool to explore your health. You can always reach out to me and let me help you uncover what's going on and what's sitting behind your health concern. I would love to help. So your body is a wise historian, archiving every heartbreak, suppressed emotion, and old wound. While pills, surgeries, and supplements may ease symptoms, they rarely release these trapped frequencies. And so true healing only begins by listening, by quieting the mind, and courageously asking, what are you trying to tell me? And again, if you need help and guidance, please reach out to me at soulhealer.com. That was a good one. All righty. So before I go over and take a look at all the comments and start doing some readings, I just want to give you the lay of the land. And so anyone that's here, if you would like a free on-air psychic reading, all you need to do is go into the chat and say, hey, Dr. Rita, your hair looks great. Can I get a psychic reading? And then you need to pick a card between 1 and 3. And that's how many times I will shuffle on your behalf. But we have some new other options. And here they are. Maybe it'll even work. There we go. Okay, so you can, and that is like so not even the right slide. Okay, not that. No, not that. All right, hang on, guys. 1 second. It's like my computer was just, there we go. You know, they both look the same. So I got myself confused. Okay. And not that one again. This one. This one right there. There we go. Because I look so sparkly in that picture. And so there's a couple of things that you can do. So if you want, you can go to soulhealer.com/live. And so if there's a big old long list of people that are wanting to get readings and you came in a little bit late, one of the things that you can do is you can jump the line. So go to soulhealer.com/live. There's a thing where you can jump the line and I'll get an email and I will do your reading next in sequence. And if you're doing that, just give me a number between 1 and 3 and we will get you up and running. One of the other things you can do is you can ask Dr. Rita, and there's another link for that. And with that, you can ask me a specific question. So instead of just, requesting a 1 through 3, you can say, hey, Dr. Rita, I have this going on. What do you think? And while you're there, if you want to leave a little something in the tip jar, I would love you to death. Okay, so let's see. Who do we got? ERRT Radio is number 1. And he says, happy Thursday, Dr. Rita. Your hair looks amazing as always. May I have a reading number 3, please? You sure can. And I just want to ask, aside from what I talked about, excuse me, how have you guys been doing with this crazy energy on the planet right now? It's crazy. And it's interesting because there is a certain level of that I'm experiencing of disquiet and uneasiness, but it's almost like it's becoming like a familiar bedfellow, which I really, really don't want it to become. I would love to hear what your thoughts on it. Okay, ERT Radio number 3. Interesting. Okay, that's your card for today. So ERRT Radio, I feel like, and I made that commentary, but now I'm feeling like I said it just for you. I feel like you are being pretty heavy affected by what's going on the planet. When I look at you and your space and your life, it all seems okay. But I feel like there's this underbelly, underlaying of kind of emotional energy and you not really understanding it. I also am feeling like this cloud of a little bit of negativity sitting there. But again, I don't feel like it's your energy. And so I just want to raise your awareness to that because it's not you. So maybe this is the time to do things to nurture yourself, to work with your gratitude, to read uplifting books, exercise, do things to keep your energy at a higher vibration. Okay. And that's not just for ERRT Radio. That's for all of us. This is I keep saying this is a tough energy period, but it seems like it hasn't stopped. And I'm so ready for it to stop. Okay. All right, let's see. And then he put, I use Psalms 42:8 for a line in one of my Suno songs, and on Family Feud, I saw the number 42 on different parts of the game. Cool. Unar. Hey, Unar. Good eve, Dr. Rita and friends. May I have a 1 tonight? And Unar, you sure can. Uh-oh. And so for anybody new here, this is called a mask card. And this usually shows up if there's something you don't want to look at or there's a certain amount of denial sitting around a topic. And I am just going to pull cards till I feel like it clears. Another mask card. All right, I like this one here. All right, we're going to go with this card. It's a little bit buried below these cards. But let's see. Interesting. So, Unar, I get the impression that there is, and I'm going to say a person, it could be a situation, but that they want to compete with you. They want to fight with you. I feel like there is this uncomfortable energy dynamic happening between you and this other person where they want to be powerful and you're kind of like, I don't think so. But I feel like in the same breath, okay. So I get the impression that in the past, you have, I'm going to say, succumbed to that energy dynamic and gave up your autonomy in situations like that, in other situations. But in order to just fit in and not create a scene and not fight and just have things be good and okay, because it was more important for you to have calm energy than to stand up for yourself. And I feel like you're not really doing that anymore, or you don't want to do that anymore. And you don't have to do that anymore. Part of your healing, part of you becoming whole is to say, well, this is important for me. And then having it be important to you and be willing, be willing and having the conviction to stand up for yourself. I feel like, it's kind of a new dynamic that you're working through, and that's okay. So I am just bringing your awareness to that. You have a choice. You can put up with it. You can walk away. If you are putting up with it, you are just staying in an old pattern that you've been in for a very long time. If you walk away or say no, or whatever the appropriate response would be, then you are moving into the new you. I feel like you're kind of being a little bit universe tested right now. And so the answer is critical. You can go with the new energy and new vibration, which will open a door to a higher level. Or you can go with the old you that will make you have to go around the circle and learn the lesson again. Don't learn the lesson again. Don't. Because it sucks. Okay, so let's see. I heard the little chimey thing. Let's see what we got. Okay. Okay, so we have a question from Amy. Amy. Okay. And it says, this is about Austin safety. Thailand is out of fuel across the country, canceling flights and power outages likely. Very hard to get info. Hoping you can help with any insight. Austin is okay. I feel like the country is okay. Like, it's not crazy there. I mean, Austin is okay. I mean, I don't really feel like he really wants to leave. I mean, I feel like there's part of him that is making him feel like he should leave. And all of there's no air, money or gas for airplanes. And then what is he going to do? Come back here? And he doesn't really want to be here. So maybe he just needs to hunker down and get some food. I mean, I don't know what his living situation is. Like I said, I don't get the impression that there are issues in the country. I mean, if there's no gas, there's no gas. But that's a very big difference from there being issues in like political unrest and crazy people in the country. And I'm not getting that for there. And Amy, if you want to follow up on that, just put it in the chat thing. Okay. And we already also have a question from Ohura. Hey, Miss Ohura. And so she says, I wonder before I go back to Iran, should I get a degree, make money, or find out if next 2 to 3 years I can have a chance to meet Jay as friend, or better just wait and take care of my health? So, okay. So Ohura, kind of based on what's going on right now, I would maybe wait a little bit before going back to Iran. I kind of get the impression that it's just a little crazy there right now. And so I think that idea of using the next 2 to 3 years to get a degree or make some money, to wisely use that time and say, okay, what can I do to better myself so that when I go back there, I'm in good shape. Use that time, and because it's going to take a while for it to settle down there. And I would rather you be safe here. But I think you can use it as kind of the guiding post. It's like, sorry, I just got like a tickly throat tonight. Of focusing your time and your energy into this window of opportunity. So let me know if that makes sense to you. All righty. All right. So now, oops, sorry about that. And now we have Yvonne. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Rita. May I get a reading number 2? And you sure can. Okay, Yvonne. All right, and that's your card for today. Okay, so Yvonne, so I'm laughing because I get the impression that having all of this stuff going on the planet is kind of working for you, because it gives you the opportunity to not think about yourself and think about your own crap. I am feeling like it is taking you over there. Hang on one second. It's interesting because it's moving you from this energy, or you are moving from this energy of like, this is what I need to do, and here's my next goal, and it has to be this way, and planning, and then getting upset if the plans get messed up, and kind of being a little anal on it, to kind of not caring. I mean, I get the impression that you are always going to be a doer. I do not get the impression that you will just sit on the sofa all day and not ever do anything. So I don't worry about that with you at all. But again, I feel like you are kind of moving into this dynamic that it's like, whatever, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. And I'm just going to keep doing my thing and moving one step in front of the other, but taking the concern off of the outcome. Yeah, that's where you're moving to. Okay, let's see. Yvonne said, this is a very wild Mercury retrograde, by the way. I would like to say it's just Mercury retrograde. It's just been wild. Sorry, my hair is kind of driving me crazy. See, I have to have the good hair. The good hair. ERRT ready. I read your thing. I'm not going to say that out loud. What? So ERRT ready. See, I got gas on Sunday because I knew gas prices were going to go up. And he said, I was shocked. I saw my price went from 260 or 262 to 389 almost overnight. Wow. Okay. And then Amy says, hi, Dr. Rita. Glad it's third day. Sent and asked Dr. Rita a question in for you reading tonight. Thank you, Miss Amy. I love you and appreciate you. Okay, and we have Hayden. Hi, Hayden. It says, hi, I'm new here. May I have a reading number 1, please? Hayden, and you even know the rules? I would love to give you a reading number 1. And those mask cards are just, I mix them in and they're always like on the bottom. Probably because I don't ever want to cut into them. Okay, and that's your card for today. Okay, so Hayden, everything that's coming up right now is just not very kind to you. So I don't even know I want to say that out loud. So Hayden, I get the impression, all right, I'm going to take this angle on it. I get the impression that you tend to feel very alone. And I'm bringing that up. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that came in, but I get the impression that you like to win. You like to be on top. You like to be the king in the mountain. And maybe, perhaps, that's just a little off-putting to people in their ability to relate to you. I mean, I get the impression that there's some very, very, very old wounding that sits in there that makes you, that compels you to not want to lose and to want to be on top of that mountain. But I'm feeling like it's not working for you. And maybe that's why it's coming up. It's not working for you. It's not giving you the results and the life that you want. So maybe that's something you need to look at, is that dynamic that you're having with other people, and maybe including how your thoughts and behaviors might impact other people to be more inclusive of them as well. I hope that makes sense. And you guys, as always, if what I'm saying makes sense to you and resonates with what's going on, just let me know. And it's Marco. And he says, hi, is Darnwood thinking about past connection now that his relationship with his girlfriend is going downhill? Oh, it's Mark, not Marco. Sorry, Mark. Okay, so Mark, you can ask for a number between 1 and 3. And then if you want to ask that specific question, you need to go to soulhealer.com/live and use the Ask Dr. Rita button, and I'll be happy to answer your specific question. No, stop it. All right, go big again. Go over there. Okay. Or you can give me a number 1 through 3, and I'll do a general reading for you. Hey, Don, how are you? He says, hi, Dr. Rita. Could I get a number 1 reading? You sure can, Don. One. All righty. Ooh, nice card. And that's your card for today. So Dawn, and I was just thinking this, and now I'm just going to go with what I was thinking. So I think it was last week where I brought up the fact or the commentary that your world was going to be a little bumpy right now, and you were being given a choice of how you were going to respond to it. Were you going to respond to it in a new behavior, or were you going to respond to it in a worry, anxiety way? And I feel like you have been doing it in the new way. And it's interesting, so I was talking to, who was I talking to? Yvonne? Must have been Yvonne, about moving up a new level. And Dawn, I'm going to say this out loud. I think you have leveled up and you are now operating on the new level, because when I sit there and I look at your energy with the contemplation of acting or reacting in that old way, it's like you can't do it. Like it's just so out of character right now. So yay. My little Dawn is growing up. Good job, Dawn. Okay, and it's Ohora, and she says, hello, dear Dr. Rita. Happy new haircut. You look lovely and fresh. Thank you. May I have your wisdom revelation on number 2, please? Thank you very much indeed. Blessings and cheers to amazing you. Ohora, you are always so sweet. And we're doing a 2. A 2 for Ohora. Interesting. Okay, and that's your card for today. So, Ohora, I get the impression that you have some decisions that you need to make, like you're looking for a direction. I get the impression that, and normally I would say, well, you don't need this. But in this situation, I'm going against my traditional line of commentary. I feel like in this situation, getting some insights and getting some guidance from people that know, or other people's opinions, so that you can make a more educated choice in the decision that you're needing to make, would be of value. Doesn't mean you have to listen to them, but getting their input so that you can sit there and kind of use that to process through the energy and different ideas, because I feel like you're a little lost. Again, you don't have to listen to them, but you can take it under advisement. It's almost like you need to change the brakes on your car, but you've never changed the brakes on your car. And so you're but you do watch a YouTube video and it doesn't look that hard. So you're kind of asking your guy friends, it's like, hey, is, changing the brakes on my car that hard? So like secretly inside, you're like, well, maybe they'll come and change the brakes on my car. No, just kidding. But you're getting some insights that you can make a better choice with the brake changing thing. And that's a terrible example, but I made my point. So, but again, the biggest part is you don't have to listen to them. I have been accused over and over and over of asking for people's advice and then never following it ever. All right, let's see, where are we? All right. All right, we have Lady Spitfire. Hey, Lady Spitfire. She says, hi, Dr. Rita. May I get a reading tonight? 3. If so, thanks. And you sure can, Lady Spitfire. Okay, and that's your card for today. So, Lady Spitfire, it's like I'm just having a very kinesthetic response to touching it on your energy. And I just feel like, I don't know if it's a nervousness energy that I'm feeling from you, but I'm feeling like just this physical disquiet inside of you. I mean, like all over my body, not just in like my heart or my chest or anywhere like that. That there's this level of tiredness that's tied along with it. And so I asked what you could do. And the commentary I got back was maybe it's time for you to turn on some of your creative energy. Um, do things that bring you in. I don't want to say meditate because that isn't going to work, but doing things that help support the flow of energy inside of you so that it will help raise your vibration and bring you back into the present moment. I don't know if you were here earlier, but it's a challenging period, and just doing things to keep you in that moment or in the present moment. We all need to be doing it. And I'm feeling like for you, you're noticing this physical discomfort. And I think that's why I'm really bringing it up, that there's a physical discomfort. And the way to move out of that physical discomfort is to play, do things that fill your heart, that fill your soul, nurture yourself. And that will help move you out of that funky kind of energy you're experiencing right now. Okay. So, Hora, you're in Berkeley? Well, how cool is that? I went to the Berkeley Psychic Institute. Okay, let's see. And ERRT Radio, I really appreciate the lowercase. Lowercase, I love it. All right, ERR, I am sensing that not sure what to do to try to keep positive. And ERRT Radio, I don't think it's really an effort thing for you. I feel like it's more of an awareness thing for you to say, okay, I have funky energy and it's really not that bad. I just, I'm so used to looking at your energy that it just feels off. It just feels off. So just owning it and saying it's off. I mean, that's really all you have to do, because your body will naturally jump in and start addressing it. Okay. And then ERRT Radio says, thank you, Dr. Rita. I get it. Cool. And then we have Punja. Hi, Punja. Let's see. So we have, okay, thank you, ERRT Radio, for explaining that. And then Ohur says, hello, Dr. Rita. Happy New Year. I already read that. Okay, Punja. Okay, so if I'm not saying that right, I'm super sorry because I have no phonics skills, but you will be known as Punja every time you come here because I totally mispronounce everybody else's name anyway. So you can be one of my favorite people. Okay, and you can have a number 2. I mean, I don't think you want me to call you Pooh. Alrighty. And that's your card for today. Well, that's going to be interesting to see what that has to say. Interesting. So Punja, I tend to just say what I get, and I just say what I get. So it's interesting because I feel like you have been traveling down this road for quite a while, and you've gotten to this point where it's like the road has ended. There's, or you're looking across and you can keep going down this road, but it has nothing for you. And I feel like you are kind of in this evaluative period in your life. I feel like, tied to that. And I'm not seeing this in your space so much because I feel like this might be kind of a new energy that you are just coming into awareness of. So I'm not sensing a lot of confusion as to what to do next. It's almost like, well, I've hit this wall and I've hit this wall. But what I'm feeling is this energy, this dynamic is giving you the opportunity to experiment. It's giving you the opportunity to play around. It's giving you the opportunity to get rid of whatever it was that was going on that isn't working for you anymore. I'm not saying it's not working, but it's really not working for your soul anymore. And to plant the seeds of something new that you will be doing in the future. Now, I do feel like any seeds that you plant right now are going to take a little bit of time to come into being, because I feel like you're on this pretty good roll. And this is kind of a bit of an abrupt stop right here. And I feel like it's catching you a little bit off guard. So do what you need to do to tread water right now, but also use your time and energy to start thinking about what the new you is going to be. Cool. And welcome. And it's Marco. See, there was Mark before that I said Marco, but it wasn't Marco. There you are, Marco. Hey, Marco. So he says, Rita, how you look fire hot. Thank you. And then he says, and the voice is fire too. Well, thank you, Marco. And then Yvonne says 100% fire. All right. And then Amy says, thank you, Dr. Rita. You're so welcome, Amy. And we have Brandy. We got Brandy. I'm not even going to try to say that. And Brandy would like a number 3. And you sure can, Brandy, get a number 3. And as always, guys, if these readings are working for you, I'd love to hear your comments down below. We have a few minutes left before it is time for me to go. Oh, Brandy. So I don't know if you were here before. So these cards show up when there's an energy you're not looking at, you're in denial about, there's an energetic blockage happening. Sometimes they're not that, they never feel good to me. But a lot of the times it's just something that needs to get clarity. I want this one. Okay. So you had one card that I didn't like. You had these 2 cards, which were actually really good cards. But I'm picking another one because that's where I'm feeling like the energy is clearing. So that's the one I'm going to read. And that's what I do is if I get one of those, I wait till I feel like the energy shifts. And it's that card where the energy shifts. So, Brandy, I get the impression that there are things that you are holding on to that are not serving your higher purpose. I get the impression that it's ripe. It's time for you to take your next step. It's time for you to act. I feel like there is definitely it's now time. I feel like you've been kind of getting that message for a little bit. And I'm actually going to say the last couple of months, it's now time. But you haven't been nowing it. So now I'm saying it out loud. It's now time. I feel like once you own it, once you adopt it, once you move forward with it, it is going to create a transformation inside of you that is going to be magical. So own it, love it, trust it, and move forward with it. Wow, that was pretty good. Only a few cards back there, but that's okay. All right, let's see. And then Don says, thank you, I'm trying. And I want to say, Don, you're doing great. Oh. So Brandy is really Lord of Ink. Hi, Laura. See, I know Lord of Ink. And then Lady Spitfire says, whoop, whoop. Cool. And then a horse says, thank you so very much. Indeed, blessings to you. Your revelations and readings are words of wisdom. Were very accurate to situation. I need to make an appointment soon. Love and cheers to amazing you. I just so love you. Lady Spitfire says, wow, thanks. You're so welcome. And we have Pearl. All right, Pearl, you're going to be my last one, my last reading for tonight. And says number 2. You got in the nick of time. Okay. And that's your card for today. So, Pearl, let's see. So, Pearl, I get the impression that some opportunities have kind of presented themselves to you a little bit out of nowhere. I feel like you're uncertain if you should trust it or trust the situation. I feel like the situation is kind of like a God thing that is being presented to you. And I feel like part of the lesson is for you to trust. I can't give you any facts. I can't give you any figures. I can't give you any data. I think when you look at this opportunity, you can't get any facts. You can't get any information. You can't get any data. And I don't think that you will. I feel like if it feels good to you, if it feels like it's something that you want to do and you should do, and if the energy feels good and uplifting, trust that. Listen to that and then go for it. Like that, Miss Pearl. All right, let's see. And then Hayden Bell says, wow, thank you. You're so welcome, Hayden Bell. And then Poonja says, you're saying it right, no problem. Cool, thanks, Poonja. Okay, let's see. Poonja says, thank you for the reading. Oh. So Bradley said it's Brady. It's like, sorry. And then ERRT Radio says, hi, Brady. She's not wearing her glasses. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing my glasses or not. No phonics skills. A little dyslexic. You know, some letters just don't exist. Okay. All right. And I'm down at the bottom. Pearl says, makes sense. Excellent, Pearl. Anyway, guys, it is time for me to go. Again, if you're enjoying this show and you would like to leave me a little something, you can go to soulhealer.com/live and leave a little tip in the tip jar. You know I would love you and appreciate you. So then, until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Thursday Night Live. Be blessed.